you talk to them about starting a video coaching process, or even whether that's for the whole organization or just, one teacher and one coach, the gap between today when they're not using video and someday when they are using video feels really, really big to them and really, really hard to cross. And so I'm wondering, from your perspective, when you personally or folks in your organization are talking to teachers, talking to coaches out in the field and trying to kind of help them bridge that gap, are there particular first experiences that you encourage them to have to kind of make this a first kind of successful at bat, right? So that they keep coming back and keep doing more.
The first thing is, I think they just have to do it. Nobody likes to see themselves on video, at least not initially. And nobody ever says to me I'm younger and thinner than I thought when I look at the video. Everybody's like upset about what they look like. I just did a thing today where we had people all record themselves just to get used to it. And nobody stood up and said, damn, I'm a lot hotter than I thought. I mean, that was not what people said. What they say is, they don't like watching themselves. And the reason for that is people compare themselves to standards of beauty that are fictional. The people we see in movies, somebody did their hair and they've got a $25,000, $30,000 lens on them, and the lighting is perfect, and the makeup took hours to do, and they can do multiple cuts if the person doesn't look right, and the angles are perfect. The way I always put it is, put Halle Berry in a special ed class for two weeks and see how she looks if they just put an iPad on her to see what it looked like. We're not movie stars, but movie stars aren't movie stars either. Movie stars are fiction. So once we get beyond the notion that we have to look like some movie star and we can start to get used to the video, we're okay. And that doesn't take too long. But another issue is video presents you with a clear picture of reality. And the reality you have in our minds isn't always accurate. It too could be a fiction. So we're comparing ourselves to a fiction and we're living a fiction. Stone and Heen, who wrote this really awesome book called Thanks for the Feedback, they say that our identity is the story we tell ourselves about who we are. And when something threatens that story, it's painful. If we have in our mind that we are really amazing at something and then the data shows that's not the case and we have to rethink who we are, it's a difficult thing to experience. So I think that the first couple things are, it's going to take a little bit of courage to get used to the fact that you won't want to see who you are and that it's going to threaten the story that you are. But the thing is, most people want to be good at what they do. And to be good at what they do, you have to get a clear picture of where you are. You're not going to improve unless you know how well you're doing. Or a track star who wants to get faster, somebody has to time how fast they're going and keep track of where they couldn't say, well, just don't worry about it. We'll see what happens in the race. You're constantly going to monitor where you are. And teaching is much more complex than a simple thing like running. So there are many, many things that need to be seen. And to get better, whether we're talking about conversations or to get better as a teacher, you have to get a clear picture of current reality. I suppose you could set things up to make it kind of safe. You could have a conversation at home with a son. I don't think you should throw a bunch of people together and not be careful about how you set up the setting. I think it's extremely crucial that you create an environment that's psychologically safe when people are going to share with other people. You don't want to bury your soul to Debbie Downer. You want to talk to somebody who's going to encourage you and validate you and not squash you when you open up. And video is an opening up thing. But once you get moving, if you can create a culture that's psychologically safe, amazing things can happen. Really, really tight bonds can be made and lots of learning can happen really, really fast, much faster than if you didn't watch the video. So I don't know if there's a necessarily a right place to go. I would say people should have a choice about it. I wouldn't force it on people. I think if you say you have to do this to a group of teachers who've taught for many years, in my opinion, what you're going to deal with is a lot of toxicity and resistance because you're not honoring their autonomy and their professionalism. But I think most people will choose to do it because of its power. They'll see the results pretty quickly. And leaders have to be the first ones to do it. And you can't expect a teacher to record himself teaching if the principal isn't recording herself. People have to say, I'm not asking you to do something I wouldn't do too. If it's coaching, I think the very first thing the coach has to do is get comfortable with video, watching himself or herself. They have to see what it looks like themselves. And then once they've got some credibility because they've done it, then they can share. One last thing is, if you're a coach or someone leading professional development in a school and you want to encourage it, I would say go to the people in the school that you know, if that person does it, I bet you other people will do it. Go to the informal leaders in the school and start there. And once you start there, other people will say, well, heck, if Adam's doing it, maybe I should do it too.
I really liked that you suggested that it's not just something that you ask the teachers to do. That video can really be a tool for reflection for everyone within the organization, and can start with the school leaders or the coach or the informal leaders. Also, really, thing that stuck out, and sometimes we use as a comparable, as kind of talking about sports as the analogous place where reflecting on the attempts to do something is very normal, and a lot of technology, of course, is used in sports. And as you've hinted, that video as kind of a tool that's easy and accessible is a newer thing. Obviously, with the Athena platform, we'd like to think that we're enabling new types of ways to use the technology to facilitate video reflective practice. So I'm curious, kind of in your work, as you've looked at platforms like Athena, what do you see as kind of the difference of what is it enabling beyond just pulling out your phone and taking it back to the teacher's lounge and having a chat over a coffee?
I think there's enormous potential. I mean, when something happens, when something's embraced, usually two things have to be in place. It has to be really powerful, and it has to be really easy. An iPad is a good example of that. Anybody can pick it up, they can use it. 3-year-olds are probably rotting their brains doing it, but they're on the iPad, they're looking for movies, they're making apps work. You have access to the world through this little thing. It's easy, it's powerful. And something that's powerful but difficult, it's not going to spread as quickly. And so the first thing that strikes me about platforms like Athena is that you can make it easy for people to use the video. We already know it's powerful, but if it's a real hassle to share the video and we can't upload it and have all these problems, then it'll fall by the wayside. We need to find different ways in which we can easily share and see what's there and move forward. But what also I think is really exciting, like incredibly exciting, is that if enough people use your platform, then we can really start to specialize who we want to contact and who we want to work with around video. So let's say I was a 11th grade social studies teacher, and I want to get really good at using the Frere model to teach concepts. Well, if we had a big enough group of people who are using this, and I could find other people around the world who are teaching social studies, and I guess in social studies they'd all be American, but using the graphic organizer, the Frere model, and I could see video of them and we could share ideas. I mean, it opens up enormous potential for communication globally. I mean, how cool would that be if we could find teachers and start to share way beyond Twitter groups, which are like 140 characters, but actually you can send me your video, I'll send you my video. And even within a district, often the coaches they're responsible for more than one place. They can't get to different places, but Athena gives them an opportunity to do that, or teams of teachers within a school. If you're in a big city like Houston or something and you've got schools all over the place, maybe the high school teachers can't meet, but they can just go to their desk and open up their computer and have the conversation right there, share a video. Plus you can do it asynchronously. So if they can't do it then because they got to go coach tennis, they can watch it some other time and get back to it at a different time. So, I mean, just like we don't know what technology is going to be like in 5 years. I mean, you think of how much we've advanced since 2006, I think it was, when Steve Jobs mentioned the iPhone for the first time. I think what you guys are doing, your aggressive commitment to getting better at sharing video, making it easier, finding other ways people can make connections, it's going to be great to see what happens the next couple of years, because if it's too difficult, it's not going to happen. Easy and powerful is the way to go.